You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome in to another live edition of What the Hell Are You Smoking? It is Hockey Home Theater featuring What the Hell Are You Smoking with Denny, and we are coming to you here right after a nail-biter of a Minnesota Vikings win to stay undefeated, but hope everybody's having a great Sunday, and Denny, I will turn it over to you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for showing up for the show. Today, I'm going to talk about several things. I'm going to talk about a power play that Edmonton used to run from behind the net. And I'm going to talk about the lineup that it looks like it's going to be right now. I don't think Ogren makes the team. There's no spots for him unless they send down Merrill, which is a distinct possibility. And then I'm going to talk about Charlie Stramel and his opening debut and my thoughts on that. And our viewer record is now 4,700 for one show. And that's all thanks to you guys and girls. That's a hell of a deal. We're moving up the ladder. And that's a good thing. And also, I ordered some equipment. I'm going to be changing up my my podcast room, which is really my living room. And I got a camera coming, and so I'm going to be walking around and showing a board type of deal. Because I'm telling you, it's hard for me to sit here for 1 hour. My butt really hurts at the end. And this will help me get through it.
Locked On Wild is getting visual.
Yeah. So to start, the lineup that looks like the Wild are going to have, moving Rossi up top and Hartman down to third, that's as good as it can get. Rossi with a couple of helpers like Kaprizov and Zuggs, he's just going to go off. All he needed last year was some help. And now that he's got help, you're going to see how good he is. I mean, I really like Rossi. And moving Eck down to the second with Boldy, that makes sense too. I don't think much of Mojo. I don't care what he does. He lost all my respect last year. And he's going to play his heart out now because it's contract year. But the only time he played for us last year was against Washington or San Jose. Rest of the time he took off. So be it as it may. And our third line of Foligno, Hartman, and Trennan, that's going to be a very interesting line. I really like how he's putting that together because I don't think it's going to be the grief line, but we'll never see the grief line again. I mean, when you only allow 5 goals, even strength for the whole year, that was magic. I doubt we'll see that again. But that should be a very good line. And with Lago, Murat, and Freddie down at the bottom, that's a nice fourth line. As I talked about before with Freddie, he wasn't as bad as he played last year. And for all you who have missed the show and I talked about Freddie, you got to look at it from his perception. When he was with Dino, he had his place on the team. He knew what was expected of him, and he knew what to do. And as soon as Hines got in there, he got demoted for no reason. Down the fourth line, playing 7-8 minutes a game. Well, then, first off, you're pissed off because you don't know what you did to be demoted. Second off, you lost your place on the team. You didn't know what was expected of you anymore. So I can see the downplay. I mean, he's a human being. hurt his feelings something fierce. I don't care if he says it or not, but, it hurt my feelings if they did that to me. And I expect to see much more from him, but Seth brought up something that I would like him to talk about, and that's playing Rudy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Seth.
I think this is something, too, that needs to be factored in for a guy like Freddie, who the 2 years before last year, he was, I think, a 14 and a 19 goal scorer. So the expectation
Yes.
going into this past year was that he was going to do that again. He got hurt. He didn't get to those numbers, ended up getting dropped down in the lineup. He comes in this year with, I don't think people are expecting much from him this year. And he's a fourth line wing. He's going to play penalty kill. So he's got a defined role. I think it's an opportunity for him to really impress, because people are just expecting more of what we saw last year, as opposed to, now he can just go out there and play. Like, he doesn't have to force it. He can just go out there and play. And I think Lauko and Dinov, as his line mates, by them playing hard every night, I think that's going to really push him. And I think it's going to – I will be very interested to see where the numbers end up for Gaudreau at the end of the season, and how we feel about them at the end of the year, too.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see better from Freddie no matter what. I mean, because he was never as bad as he played last year, and for the reasons I've stated. And he's fighting for a spot on the team. There's people waiting to take his spot, where it wasn't so much the case last year.
Yeah. I do want to get to a good point from Hoptics regarding the first line. If it does end up being Kaprizov, Rossi, and Zuccarello, he says, I love that line. The only thing I don't like about it is that if you put Rossi, Kaprizov, and Zuccarello together, the average height of that line is 5'9", and they might get bullied pretty easily. So Dougie states it pretty nicely as just kind of a count. I mean, it's a valid point in that they're not tall players, but I think Kaprizov and Rossi both play heavier than their weight suggests. And I think they have the ability to be physical. And as Dougie mentions, the amount of muscle mass that Rossi has put on, he's not going to get bullied too easily. He has gotten very, very strong. And so I think Kaprizov and Rossi will be able to mitigate concerns about that line being too small. And I think that's why we saw Joel Eriksson Ek get a little time with Kaprizov and Zuccarello at the end of the game against Chicago. Is let's say for some reason that is a legitimate thing that they have to look at. Well, you could put Joel Eriksson Ek up there, and I think that would quiet those concerns too.
Well, to begin with, I'm never in favor of breaking up the best line in the NHL. I'd much rather see Rossi on the second with good help than breaking up our best line. But be it as it may, the way they're doing it, that's my deal on big players. The smaller you are, the more agile and the faster you are. The bigger you are, the slower you are, and the harder it is to hit. Everybody keeps saying how I can give you 100 players that are under 5'10" that were great hockey players. And size is really a mentality thing. And you aren't going to bully Kaprizov. He doesn't take no shit out there. And Rossi showed last year when he gained 15 pounds of muscle, that's when he became an NHLer. And it showed considerably in his play. You couldn't bump him off the puck like you did the first year or his first 19 games. I'm not worried about it at all. Size to me is overstated, in my book.
Well, and there are things you can do. I mean, you can put Middleton out there with Spurgeon, like as the D pairing with that combination.
Yeah,
There are things you can do. It's all about it.
absolutely.
It's all about if they produce. If they produce, then that'll be the combo going forward. Good take from Jay here. I'm surprised how much I like our bottom six, though they are overpaid as hell.
Well, he's got a point there. Trennan,
Yeah.
4 mil, Jesus. Skinner got 3 million, I
Yeah.
believe. And you look at the two. Well, that's one of Billy's boys making a contract. Yeah, we all know how that's been working out. God. But my hat's off to who's our evaluator? Judd Brackett. Here he does again, finding two diamonds in the rough, really. Because as you guys are, I'm impressed with Trent, and I'm really impressed with Lauco. And I can see why I got them. I mean, they're a good addition for us. They really are. I like them.
They play hard. They play hard. They play physical. Lauco he is just a missile out there.
Yes.
In terms of the speed that he brings, and I was looking at the penalty kill forward pairings, Denny, in that Chicago game.
Yeah.
Joel Eriksson Ek and Yakov Trenin as like your primary penalty killing forwards.
Yep, up on top.
That's going to mess some people up. Like that's a nasty forward combination in terms of what they bring and what they can do. I think he's gonna fit in just fine. Lauco's gonna fit in just fine here. And I can see, like you said, I can see why they were targeted, but it's going to come down to some of the guys that we talk about a million times over, being able to do more, or if they don't, being replaced in the lineup. That's what this all comes down to.
Hold on for 1 second, folks. I got to go blow my nose. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll hop in here and
okay.
we'll keep things flowing. So just looking at a couple of other things, I'll just expand on that penalty kill discussion because so you had Eriksson Ek and Trenin as one forward combination. You had Lauco and Huznadinov as another. Love that. Love the speed. Love the speed that group brings. And then you had Foligno and Freddie Gaudreau. And it seemed like those were the primary forward groupings on the penalty kill that the Wild used, which I kind of like that. I kind of like that they have a couple of different combinations that they can go to. So you're not throwing it all on one person, and then you can kind of attack depending on the team that you're going up against. You can use speed more. You can use physicality if you need to. I like that they've got some different options to kind of attack with those special teams units, or at least the penalty kill.
What are we talking about now?
I was just talking about the forward lines for the PK. In what they used against Chicago, it was Eriksson Ek and Trenin, Lauco and Huznadinov, and then Foligno and Gaudreau. Now, as is brought up here, Matt Boldy, it sounds like, I remember John Hines talking about this, in that Matt Boldy is going to factor into to the penalty kill this year as well. So whose spot does he take of those primary six? That'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, I guess this is a good time to get into the power play from behind the net.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, Edmonton used to run the power play from behind the net. And I asked probably 20 people, and the only two people that got it right was MPH and Trav from Lockdown Wild. And I did this on several shows. Yeah, Gretzky used to run from behind the point, and you had Coffey and Yuri on the corners. So for my power play, I got Zuggs behind the net because he's a very good passer. And I got Kaprizov and Boldy on the corners, 5-6 feet from the net. And then I have Faber and Rossi up top. And how it works is like, depending on what your defense does, if they try to do a 5 across or a 4-1 or a 3-2, depending on how the play develops is when you go to the back. And when you think about it, when you're developing from behind the net, it gives you an advantage. Whatever defenseman tries to go in, well, that just opens up a lane. And being a good passer, then you got Boldy and Kaprizov 5-6 feet out from the net. That's a deadly combination. And I hope they think, like you said, they had Hartman in the game doing it a little bit. But I would really work on that because nobody's used it in, Jesus, I don't know, 40 years.
At one point during the game, that point with Hartman that you mentioned, he was behind the net and he was trying to hit Joel Eriksson Ek, knifing through the middle between the face-off circles. He was trying to hit him for like a one-timer, and the play just got broken up before it materialized, which I thought that was an interesting look. We've seen the Wild do a lot of give and goes in the preseason.
Yes, they have.
Trying to set up. It's pretty clear to see what they're trying to do is they're trying to set up really strong looks from in close, as opposed to all the perimeter crap that we saw over the last couple of seasons. And it's crazy too. If this wouldn't have come from the broadcast, I wouldn't have believed it. The Minnesota Wild had the sixth most shots per power play in the entire NHL last year.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
I would not have believed that was a real stat, but they averaged the sixth most shots on the power play last year. It seems like the power play is a unit that we are always like eternally frustrated with, because it just always seems like there's stuff left on the table.
Well, we go stretches with nothing.
Yeah,
with 10 games, and then all of a sudden 3-4 games, they just go off.
I was trying to find it, and I'll see if I can here during the show. I was trying to find the stretch that they had at one point last year. I think it was like 5 of 51 or something like that they had one of those types of stretches. So I'll see if I can find it, but
they weren't consistent at all.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you just can't have. Like,
ideally is 1 for 4.
If you're going to be like a mid-20s percentage wise for power play, I would rather see that spread as evenly as possible throughout the season, as opposed to, well, we're going to give you a bunch at one time, and then we're not going to give you hardly anything the rest of the season. I think Urban's got it here. I think they had I think it was an 0 for 38 that the Wild had.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Good one, Urban.
It's just a gross number.
Well, that's why I really would like them to take a look at setting up from behind the net, because it has its advantages, and Kaprizov's shot is so quick and so accurate.
Yeah.
That's deadly. And Boldy is no slouch with his shot. And he's getting more accurate as he gets older. He gets a little wild sometimes, but just something you learn.
Yeah.
Which he is.
It comes with age. It comes with reps. That's going to be the big thing, I think, that takes him to the next level is getting that one-timer accuracy up. a few percentage points. That'll lead to like a 5 or a 6 goal bump in his production if he does that.
Well, I got Kaprizov hitting 60 goals this year. He's starting out healthy. And as you all know, last year, his first month of the season was just getting back in shape.
Yeah.
And once he got his edge work back, he was off and running. But you could really see, without his edge work, what a big difference it makes. And Boldy and Rossi on top line, I'm getting more excited about it as we talk about it. I really am.
How about this from Dougie?
Huh.
They should be predictably unpredictable on the power play.
I
like that.
I like that too. But I just hope they give it some thought and check it out, because with the players that we have, it would work well. Because you got to have an accurate one-time, real quick shot, which Kaprizov is the best at. And Boldy's no slouch. So, when you got Faber running the back end with Rossi, that's a nice combination.
Yeah.
I hope they take a look at it, because I know they listen to us. So
yes, they do.
We'll see.
Yeah, and it seems pretty consistent that Faber has run the top power play. I think he's done that all preseason. So I think that's what the plan is for the year. But they even had the second unit with Spurgeon and Chisholm in the lineup, which I thought that was intriguing, and they were using Chisholm as a shooter as opposed to a defenseman, which he's got a good shot.
On my second power play from behind the net, I got Chisholm in the back with Murat and Eck on the corners, with Spurgeon and Lago up top. I mean, Lago's got a hell of a shot. Murat is he's a lot better than people think. He's a very special player, and he's going to come into his own this year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And Eck is good in front of the net. He doesn't have the huge release, but he's very good in front of the net. And Chisholm is a good passer. So it only makes sense to put him back there. Yeah.
I like that.
Any thoughts from the subscribers?
Hoptics, why don't they just do the flying V? It seems to really work for the Mighty Ducks in that documentary.
Oh, Jesus.
I like
that is good. I got to tell you something. When I watched the 1980 Olympic game in exhibition in Peterborough Falls, they were playing Japan. And Japan had kind of a flying V. And they got beat 6-0. It was funny how, because they all were very coordinated, and they'd come up. Well, it didn't work out too well.
Usually doesn't.
Yeah.
Urban says Kirill starts hot. He's dropping 60 plus. Dougie,
I think so.
Kaprizov doesn't get 60 if Hartman is the center. With Rossi or X, 60 goals from Kaprizov's a real good possibility. I think those are going to be the primary two that you see with Kirill this year. I think it'll be Rossi to start. If Rossi gets banged up, maybe they bump Eck up there, but I think it'll probably be those two. Now, that's not to say that we may not see just for a switch it up if needed. But I think those will be the primary two centers that Kirill gets this year, if everything goes according to plan.
There are two best centers. It only makes sense. All right, now I want to talk about Charlie Stramel and my thoughts on the situation. I didn't get to see any film clip. I just looked at the numbers. And was it 3 out of 18 face-off wins?
Yeah.
No shots, no hits. Well, this is my thought on this. I know he's got all his family doing whatever they think they can do to help him. But the bottom line is whenever you lose your father, everybody takes it differently. And he's absolutely taking it harder than we would hope. He's lost his guiding light. And right now, Charlie needs to get mad. Somebody needs to kick his ass or something. He's playing like a simp right now. As big as he is, to not have any shots or any of that, he's playing soft. And you all remember Jordan Greenway, how frustrated we got with that. It's the same thing. Big body, no fight in him. Stramel just needs to get mad and to improve his play, because that's uncalled for. I mean, first line center, no shots, no hits.
Yeah.
Boy,
So
you'd be doing Herbies in a minute with me.
So they must have played yesterday too. He did get an assist, and he was 15 out of 27 in the face-off circle. Also had a penalty. So
Now he got involved.
Yeah, it's still like, I think the whole expectation for Stramel this year was that he was going to be able to be showcased much more with Michigan State. And I got to say, through 2 games, 1 point and face-off percentage. So he's 18 out of, oh God, this is why I don't do math. 18 out of 45 in the face-off circle. That's not a great start. I'm gonna need a little more.
Let me get out the calculator here.
Yeah.
Let me see what we got.
Yeah, Ace has a good point here. He needs to win draws and play physical. If you get 20 points, or right around 20, that'll be a good number. But the big thing is playing physical and winning faceoffs. And
yeah, it's got to get mean.
Yeah,
what were the numbers?
I'm ready. So he was 3 of 18 the first game, and 15 of 27 the second game. I suppose
so he had 45 shots. And how many did he win? 3 and what?
8. He won 18 total.
18 total. What the hell did I do here? Now my phone locked up, so I can't finish it. Sorry.
That's all right. I went to the Michigan State season stats. I don't know why I didn't think of that first. And so he's got an assist, 2 shots on goal through 2 games, also a penalty. He's won 18 faceoffs and he's lost 24, as Ace points out for us. 40% from the dot.
He's getting better.
Thank you for doing the math, because I'm just awful with numbers. Yeah, he's just got to have his Gordon from dodgeball moment where Patches O'Houlihan pulled Gordon aside and he said, "Where's your killer instinct, son? You got to get angry. You got to get mean."
Absolutely. He's really got to get mean. And as for the...
who do you think is the better big center in the future, Charlie Stramel or Rasmus Kumpelainen? I would say at this point, Kumpelainen. I think he is ahead of the two. He's the one ahead between the two. Yeah,
and I really liked him in the training deal that we went to see.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's a special player too. He's big.
Rasmus Kumpelainen has that one pretty. He's got a pretty good stronghold on that.
Does anyone know how he's doing over in the league?
I will look here in a second. Hoptics, though, if he underperforms again this year, he should set his sights on being a 4th-line grinder kind of guy, maybe an enforcer type. Dude is bodied up at 6'3", 230. Yeah, like it's 2 games, but we got to see something. if I read in a Michigan State game that he put somebody through the boards, like
I like it.
into the stands, I'm going to be like, okay, showing a little bit of that fire. I like that. Ace says Kumpelainen has 8 points in 9 games.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Yeah, I think he's got the better of the two.
This is something that I tried to look up and I couldn't find it. I got frustrated and just quit, actually. Last year, I think it was Amanda, but I'm not sure. She said how to keep Kirill happy.
Yeah.
And she had a comment for it, which was just awesome. If anybody of you remember that comment and how to keep Kirill happy, please tell us who it is so we can look it up. Or if you're listening, Amanda, if it was you, could you please finish the sentence? Because we want to put it up on our backboard. Because it's the best comment I've ever seen in my life. It was awesome. As I told you last year. I just can't remember what the last half was. That's the problem getting old.
I'll go through the 61 Kirill Kaprizov related videos that we have on the channel.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll find it.
Yeah.
Couple of things to get to here. Sean mentioning this happens today. Jeremy Swayman got close to what he was looking for. He got in. I believe it was 8.25 by 8. I think was the. I think that was the number. Let me see.
Yeah, it's 2 more than Boston wanted to play, but I can understand they don't want to lose him.
He's too talented for them to. Yeah, 66 million reasons to play as. Yeah, 8 years, 8.25 million AAV for the Jeremy Swayman contract. So now that's all
it's
done.
a good deal for him. You know, Boston really screwed up when they traded
Ullmark.
Ullmark to Ottawa without getting a deal first because they had no leverage, and that's poor hindsight on Boston's part for not having that in place.
Yeah, they. It feels like they kind of screwed the pooch a little bit.
Yes, they did. And then, talking about the game and what I saw, I'm pretty impressed with how, at first having Hartman on top, I was just devastated because that's not working. Even though Hartman has lost 15 pounds, that's going to make him a step quicker. He's not a first-line center. He had a career year 3 years ago, but you can't expect that from him. He's much better suited for third line. That's really bringing out his talent. That's where he really belongs. And moving Rossi up top, I like that move. I mean, if you're not going to put him on the second line with helpers, putting him on the first line is just as good.
Yeah.
And moving Eck with Boldy is going to be a nice combination. It really is. And I like how they're setting up their patterns. They're not just straight line anymore. They've got some variation into it, which I really like. Because it's too easy to figure out, go up the line, pass in the middle, and hit them running. And it's too easy to block that. You got to have different attack places, and it looks like that's what they're really working on, and I'm impressed with that. As hard as I am on Hines, I like what he's doing so far.
Yeah, and this is something that was mentioned after the season. It'll be interesting to see what he does with a full off season, and I think the themes that I pull from what we've seen from Hines so far is like multiple combinations and multiple points of attack, which I like. I think that's
Yeah, me
something that you
too.
need as a successful team is we're not going to have one set way that we do things. We're going to do what we do based off of what the other team's trying to do defensively. We're going to attack it from all different points as opposed to just one way to do it.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what he does with the defense because, all offense starts with defense. And the best I ever saw was the Russian Red Army. And they didn't do straight line, they just circled. And they just kept circling. Their feet were always moving. And depending on how you defended them, if they didn't have nothing, they just circle back and start over again, much like how Bobby Orr used to do it. And when you keep your feet moving, things happen. And the thing with straight line is it's a stop and go more often than you'd like to see. But by circling, your feet are always moving. That gives you opportunity to find a weakness somewhere, a breakdown in the defense. So we'll see what he does. But so far, I really like what he's doing. I really like picking up Lago and Trennan. I mean, so far, so good.
Yeah.
I still don't understand the 3 goalie rotation. It doesn't work. All it does is piss all 3 people off. And let's face it, as much as everybody likes Flower, the last 3 years his stats have gone down, down, and down. 895 save percentage for a starting goalie. That's a huge weakness.
Yeah.
I don't care. He's had a great career, but I just hope something happens to where we got Wallstead and Gus going, because Freddie is he's not even a good backup at this point, in my opinion. Russo brought up the point that the save percentage on the power play was .813, which was ranked 69th out of 73 goalies. That pretty much says it all right there. 69th. Oh, Jesus. Makes me shiver thinking about it. Other than that, I really like what they're doing in Iowa as a whole. Brett Hendricks is, I like his mindset and what he's doing with the team. This team has had more direction this year than they've had in the last, since they started, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's really picked up some good players, and they're building strength. Now we just got to deal with the contracts. And I hope what happens is that they send Merrill down to Iowa. They keep Ogren because that's the only way they can do it. And trade, if they could find a trade for Merrill, I would do it, because you know what? He's not a bad defenseman. He's just not good enough for the Minnesota Wild. There are several teams that could use him and be happy having him, because defensemen are a premium. And look at San Jose, Anaheim, Ottawa, Calgary. There's a lot of teams that need defensemen, and he would be better than a lot of the people they have already.
Yeah.
So it's just
and the whole argument for keeping Merrill, Denny, has been, we don't know if the guys that we have down in Iowa are ready to step in and fill a spot on defense consistently. But what did we hear all preseason? Was that Damon Hunt looks like he's ready. And so
it only took him a year.
Yeah. So your entire argument as to why it makes sense to have a guy like Merrill on the back ends is because you don't think one of those youngsters is ready. But I don't know. It would be one thing if John Merrill was, like, let's say he was a penalty kill ace. Let's say he was their best penalty killing defenseman. Okay, there's your reason. There's your reason for keeping him on the roster, because he has something that he contributes of value at this point. Like, just look at the numbers of any of the previous seasons that he's played. there just is really nothing that separates him from any of the other guys that they have. Zach Bogosian plays on the third pairing because he's a physical defenseman. And so at this point, like, just what is the distinguishing quality that John Merrill brings that that has him taking that roster spot?
He brings nothing to the table that I'm impressed with at all. The last half of the season he played okay. I mean, he wasn't bad. He was the first half of the season, but second half he picked up his game a little bit. But there's no reason to have Merrill on the team. And as I told you last year, they're finally figuring out that Damon Hunt's a hell of a hockey player. You know how much I raved about him last year, and they sent him down and could never find out why. Well, now they see what I saw last year. It's about time because he's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's getting a shot, and he deserves it. Bogo, he's big and he likes to shoot the puck. He gets lost in his own end a lot. He has no foot speed. Anybody with speed just goes right around him. He's a deficit. He can move people out in front of the net, but most of the time he's way behind the play. And I wouldn't be playing him on my team, I can tell you that. I would trade him because he's got use. I mean, he can move people out in front of the net, but I'd much rather have Hunt or who's the other kid I like?
Lambos,
Carson Lambos. He's a big boy too, and he likes to go in the corners. He gets his chance. He's going to stick too, I think. I really like him.
This is a good one from Aiden. Do you think Chisholm is gone after this year and Hunt will take his place? Tom also piggybacks off of that with, remember, mid-February or March, we're going to need a spot for Zeev as well.
Yeah.
So I do think that's kind of the plan. It certainly seems that way, is that those two spots are kind of being place held until Zeev gets here. It's not going to be a situation with Zeev Boyum. I'm just going to say it because it has been put out there in other spots that it's going to be 2 or 3 years before we see Boyum on this roster. Dude had 3 assists in his debut game for Denver.
Not a chance.
We're going to see him
He'll
at
be
the end.
with us.
Yeah. Yep. Whenever the Denver season gets done, Bill Guerin is going to call him probably 5 minutes after that game is over, that final game, and say, your ELC is ready for you when you're ready to sign it.
Absolutely. He's a special talent. And we get Zeev, we're going to have one hell of a defense. We're going to be elite again. And I'm really looking forward to it because then our third pairing, that drops Middleton down to third pairing with Hunt.
Yeah.
And that's a nice combination. I mean, we're going to be very strong. And we got Wallstead in goal with Gus Bus. Our team's going to be looking really, really good. And we got Yurov coming, and that's going to keep Kirill happy. Number one.
Isn't it funny how close the roster is?
Yes.
It's like it's not far off. It's not far off from looking really intriguing and
next year.
Having a lot of good upside on this roster. It's not far off.
No, we got a lot of talent, and next year they're going to have to play him because you got Kaprizov coming up with his pay raise, and believe me, I think it's going to cost $14 million to sign him, and he's well worth it. I consider him one of the top 5 players in the league, and $14 million, he's earned it. He's broken every record. He's going to break every record. And we're damn lucky we've never had a superstar until him. And then I got a thought here for the audience here. What do you think of having the team make out the lineup card once a week? To me, it gets the team involved. the players know more than anybody who should be playing where. And I think it just brings the team closer together with the coaching staff. What are your guys' feelings on it?
I'll pop those up on screen as the responses come in, but let's consider this too. As great as Faber is, I think Bouillon has a higher ceiling, which you get those two playing together on the same pairing. That's quite the combo. Holy cow.
That would be top 5 in the whole league, even as young as they are.
Faber, Bouillon, Spurgeon, Brodeen, and Hunt and Middleton as your third pair.
That's strong.
Oof. It's a good lineup.
No responses?
We got one from Ace. Maybe do that for offense, the forward lines.
Why just forward? Why wouldn't you want to make out the whole lineup for the whole team? Because believe me, the players know who should be playing and where. They know better than anybody, actually.
And this is why this defensive pairing is going to be perfect, because offensively, as Dougie notes, offensively, Bouillon has the higher ceiling, but Faber has the higher defensive ceiling. Pair those two together.
Great combination.
Just wait and see what happens.
Yes. That's it? No responses?
Yeah, that was the only one on that question.
Okay. Well, what else? I got nothing else for today's show other than it's sure nice to see the Vikings win again.
Yeah, it was a little closer than we would have liked, but the NFL is a competitive league, and the Jets, even though they're a good team, even though they're just a mess offensively, their defense is one of the best in the league.
Absolutely. When we lost our running back, that took away our screen game. And what's his name? We got from Green Bay. Aaron Jones. His best deal is he knows when to hit it, when not to hit it. And on the screen pass, he's awesome. And we missed that today. That was a big part of our game. Well, I think that's about it for me.
We got a couple of good questions here.
Okay.
This is a good one from 2.2 Acre ND Bear. What does height need to do? Bigger or stronger? It's a good question, because I think there was a lot of frustration that Riley Heidt did not make the team this year. But I got to say,
he didn't deserve it.
Yeah, I'm not bothered by that decision, because this is the whole thing that you want from preseason, is you put all the prospects together and you want to see the ones that stand out from the group. And those are the ones that you say, okay, these are the guys that are at the front of the line for prospects. Riley Heidt didn't do that. Graham Clark did. Damon Hunt did. Riley Heidt did not do that. And so for him, at this point, go back. The best thing that happened for Riley Heidt this year is that he got a taste. He got a taste of what it's like to be playing against NHL players. So now he has a better idea of what it's going to take for him to regularly do that. I think for him, just put a solid season together. He already has 1 billion points since he went back. Put a solid season together. Hit the weight room in the off season, and give yourself another opportunity next training camp to hop in for a roster spot. But I wasn't, based on what he did, I wasn't really upset that he didn't make the team, because he just didn't look it.
Well, 2.2, welcome to the show, number one.
Yeah.
My thoughts on this is number one, he's 19 years old. He is going to get bigger. He is going to get stronger. The problem with him going back up to OHL, he's not going to learn anything. There needs to be exceptions for all the rules because he really needs to be in Iowa to bring his game up more. He's not going to learn nothing in 67. He's already dominating there, or very little. I mean, he really should be in Iowa. And why there is an exception to the rule sometimes, because this is one where it should be that. Because he's 19 years old, he's getting persecuted for it, and that's wrong. A year in Iowa greatly enhances game because the biggest thing about rookies coming into the NHL is the speed.
Yeah.
And once they understand how much faster you have to react, and that's where he was lacking. I mean, kid's got all the talent. Now, he's got moves I've never seen before. I'm very high on. But, you know, the rules are the rules, and I don't know if there's an exception to the rule up there or not, but he should really ideally be in Iowa.
Yeah.
Because he is going to get bigger and he is going to get stronger.
This is a good one from Dougie, and this is something that I'm so glad that he put in there because it just reminded me of a point that was made on the broadcast Friday. So Dougie says things that Riley Heidt can work on: confidence and assertiveness. The broadcast talked about this with Liam Ogren this year, and I think it's something it's something you see a lot with young players. Is they come in and they get preseason action and they're afraid to make a mistake, and they are so occupied with trying to not make mistakes that they
instead of just playing
their game. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Liam Ogren put some really good tape together in the last few games of the preseason, is because I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of a talk happened in like, hey, just go out there and play your game and don't worry about guys turn the puck over on the ice a million times. Don't let that
everybody does.
Don't let that affect what you're doing out there. And I think that is the big thing for all of these prospects is when you're out there with NHL guys, don't even worry about that. Just go do your thing. And that's when you'll be able to separate yourself. That's what Graham Clark did. That was my favorite goal of the preseason, was when he was between the face-off circles, he lost the puck, and with his back turned, he reversed the other way and he rifled a shot on net that went right over the goalie's shoulder. But it was timely, It was accurate, and he didn't panic. He didn't panic because he lost the puck. He just took a split second to gather himself, got control of the puck, turned, fired on net, and scored.
That's an NHL goal right there.
Bingo.
Yeah. And I'm really excited. I would actually put Wallstead in to start the season. What better time to put him in? He's going to be our number one goalie. The team's going to be jacked. There's no better in my mind. There's no better time to play him than the first game. Waiting to play him 4 or 5 games down the road, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know what they're going to do with this 3 goalie rotation. I hope it doesn't last long. I can tell you that.
I wish that it would have been worded differently. Because how differently do we feel if they say we're going to be using 3 goalies this year? We're going to be using 3 goalies this year has much different connotations than we're going with a 3 goalie rotation. Because that's just an expectation that there are going to be injuries that happen to where you're going to need Jesper to come up and make some starts. But 3 goalie rotation to me implies whole season we're going to have all 3, and we're going to just be on the merry-go-round all year trying to figure out who gets starts. Like that was a word error that I think I wish they would have clarified on that. and just say we expect to see all three guys this year. If Bill Guerin says we expect to see all three goalies this year, okay, great, fine. But saying it's a rotation, a 3-goalie rotation, implies that it's going to be something they use all season.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of that at all. And not only that, but it takes a spot away from a kid.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. That's one thing I don't agree with what they're doing. I hope it doesn't last long. I know.
We'll find out. Final roster is due on Monday.
Yeah.
As in tomorrow.
Well, there's no spot for him.
Yeah.
And all the talk that Billy did about, oh, yeah, the kids are going to get a chance. No, they never really had a chance because there's not a spot.
Well, here's
unless
what we
they do something.
Here's what we have to trust. But if this doesn't happen, I'm going to call it out. I am trusting that, okay, it's not my first choice. It's not my first choice to have Marcus Johansson on the second line. If for some reason the production just hits a level where that line is producing consistently, okay, fine, whatever. If it's not, then you better do good by your words that you said at the end of last season, Billy. And you've got people that I think can step into that spot and can fill that role. Like if the lines produce, okay, you can have your vets. But if they don't, then it's time for action. Like
Absolutely.
if we get 20 games into the season and Marcus Johansson has 2 points and 8 shots on goal, I'm going to be screaming for an upgrade.
You and me both.
I'll be in that press box banging the table and having people turn and be like, what is this guy's problem? And I'll say, well, Marcus Johansson is my problem.
Well, I think the whole crowd feels the same way we do.
Yeah, there's a long line. There's a long line of people that have that exact same thought. And it's not just this show. It's other shows. Like there's a long line of people that is like, can we just get a little bit of an upgrade? I forget about this all the time. And I know it was a money thing, but could you imagine if you had Gustav Nyquist in that spot?
Yeah. I like Gustav, boy. He was a hell of a passer.
Yeah, what did he have, an 80-point year last year?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Marcus Johansson, he had 29. But hey, it's not that far. It's not that far off of his. It's not that far off of his career averages. So it's not. He didn't have a bad season, is what I'm being told.
Well, Mojo was ranked 77th in the league last year. 77. That should say everything. Yeah. I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, I value my sanity too much to get into that on a daily basis. But
hey, I gotta go.
All right. I'll finish things up. I'll finish things up here. DM Hockey wants to know thoughts on the Swayman deal. Well, he got paid. Boston might not like it, but they need him because you are not going to win a ton of games if Jonas Korpisalo is your starting goalie. So sometimes you gotta pay up. Yeah, it was just a nosebleed for Denny. So I had him as a kid. I got him all the time, and then at some point it just they just stopped. They're a huge pain in the ass. But that's all I was. It was either pay him or get destroyed. Yeah, exactly. Urban is right. You got to pay the good players, and if you don't, well, then you face the consequences. So let's talk about this to finish. I'm going to be drawing the winner in the Lockdown Wild sweepstakes today, so that I can get in contact with the winner, get the tickets secured, and get those to the winner. So I'll be picking the winner today in the sweepstakes. So if you already got your entries in, you're good. And we'll see who ends up winning. Oh, good one from Ace. What is the other team you support when the Wild aren't on or don't play? I am a sucker for the Seattle Kraken. Looks like Denny's back here.
I got a nosebleed. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
At this time, I'd like to tell you the reason I missed last week's show is they put in this new medication, and I was getting nosebleeds all the time. I haven't had any all week, and now I've had 2. The good thing is I'm going for a CAT scan on Tuesday, and hopefully they'll figure out what the hell's wrong with me. I'm sorry about that, everybody. Shit happens. What are you gonna do?
We just roll with it.
Yeah.
Denny,
Okay.
do you have an answer for this one? And then I think we'll kind of wrap up. Ace wondering the teams that we support when the Wild aren't on or don't play.
I like Nashville. They've always been my second team choice. I used to live in Nashville. And I really like Edmonton.
Yeah.
It's not hard to they deserve a cup. And last year they went to 7, but it's really hard to beat any team 4 in a row. Number 2, they were so beat up. I mean, he could hardly move after what I've been told, that he was so hurt he shouldn't have been playing. So I hope Edmonton goes back to the cup this year, because McDavid, Draisaitl deserve one. I mean, the 2 best players in the world, and I hope they do. And then next year, watch out.
Yeah, Urban says whoever plays the Stars.
I love it.
That's good. I don't know why, because their results have been very up and down, but I just have been a huge fan of Seattle teams. Maybe it's because of the color green. Kraken, Mariners. God, those Mariners teams in the late 90s, early 2000s with Edgar Martinez, Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez, Randy Johnson.
And had some great players.
I loved those teams. The Legion of Boom for the Seattle Seahawks. That was fun. So I gravitated towards the Kraken. Didn't really have a reason to do so, but that's kind of my second team, even though, like I said, they've been very very up and down. But yeah. I kind of like the Kraken too, just as Evan nailed it. The vibe, the Kraken vibe, like everything that they do with marketing, like they did the showcase game that they had at Safeco Field, the stuff that they did to create like an ocean environment was fantastic. So I think it's a lot of that stuff that I kind of like about Seattle. But anytime the Wild play them, I root for the Wild to win 10-0 every time.
Well,
so, yeah.
I'm a huge soccer fan, or I was when we had the Minnesota Kicks, and they had the Seattle Sounders back then. And it was always a dogfight when the Kicks and the Sounders played. Yeah, I like Seattle.
Seattle's a good spot.
But for me, my number one team is Nashville.
Yeah.
I love their coach. I love, I really made a play to have him come here. Of course, nobody listened to me, but he's a hell of a coach. And you can't have a smarter hockey man than who's in Nashville now running the show.
Barry Trotz.
Barry Trotz
going after serial winners. I love that term.
He's a smart hockey man.
Yeah.
And I see nothing but good things for Nashville going ahead.
Yeah, they'll be a good team. They'll be right in the thick of it, and they're one of the other 4 teams that if the Wild are going to be a playoff team this year, they're going to have to beat those 4 in front of them consistently. Like, you can't go 0-4 against any of those teams. You got to go 2-2. You got to go on the road. You got to steal a game on the road. That's what being a playoff team implies. And the Wild, one game against those teams last year? That's not going to cut it.
Well, the season is upon us. Next time it's live with the game.
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to it. When the lineup comes out, maybe we'll do a special deal just before the game and talk about the lineup because it's nothing set yet. We'll see a lot of changes could be made yet. Other than that, I think that's it for me, Seth. I got to. My nose is kicking up here.
Yeah, let's end on that. Do you have a nominee for what the hell are you smoking for this week?
I have no nominee this week because there's nothing crazy.
How about? I got one. This week. One this week. Peter Mrazek, the goalie for Chicago. Did you see what he was doing on that second goal that the Wild scored?
No. Otherwise, just a fluke.
Brilliant move. Jonas Brodin faked like he was going to dump the puck in. Yeah. And he faked so well that Mrazek came out of the net. And then Brodin just lasered one in. So that is our what the hell are you smoking this week?
That's a good one. I like it.
Yeah, because like what are you doing, man? You just stay in the net until the puck actually comes down.
Yeah, 4 seconds later, 2 goals. I love it.
I could not believe that. And I'm sure
I've seen a couple of halfway goals like that, maybe 2 my whole life. I'm trying to think of who it was. One was, I think, in Boston. But, I've been watching hockey for almost 60 years. I've seen a lot of hockey, but I've never seen a play like that one.
It reminded me of the goal that was scored on Mike Smith in the Western Conference Finals between Colorado and Edmonton a couple years ago. When they won the cup. And they threw the puck in from center ice, and Smith was out of the crease, and all of a sudden it was like, oh crap, this might actually go in. And Smith tried to like kind of fall backwards to get it, and it went in over his head. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yes.
So Peter Mrazek.
It happens.
Peter Mrazek.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice, Seth.
That's a good spot.
Also, I want to bring this up before we end. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a bit of a situation regarding Seth. As you know, he lost his job a few months back and hasn't been able to find one yet, and things are a little tough. Would anybody step up to the plate to buy him a cup of coffee for $5 to help him out? I'm serious. He needs help. And if you guys would like to, just say yeah. And Seth will put up a link where you can buy him a cup of coffee to help him out. Because these things aren't free. And it costs a lot of money to put a show on. And when you don't have a job, things get a little scary. So if you want to help him out, just let us know, okay? And that's from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all for showing up today. As you know, this is what gets me going and keeps me going. I love doing this show. We got a lot of plans coming up that we're going to tell you about too. we're always trying to improve. And as you know, we want to be number one. And we got somebody coming in, I think, to do a national scene once in a while. And I'm talking to Jack Carlson about coming on once in a while. Yeah, we got a lot of things going on. It's revolving door, always trying to improve. If you like the heat map with the shots, let us know. Tell us what you like and don't like. It's important to us because, as you know, we're the only show where we answer all your questions.
Right.
Period.
Email inbox is always open. lockedonwild@gmail.com. And yeah, I will be. I'm in the putting together stages of a Patreon, and so stay tuned for that. Just in the final stages on that. So appreciate everybody tuning in here today. And yeah, if you have any thoughts on the show, lockedonwild@gmail.com. And be on the lookout. We'll let you know who won the 2 tickets to see Columbus on Thursday night. We'll be drawing that today. So
there
be
you
on the
go.
lookout. If you win, you will be contacted, and I will send out an email to everybody so people know, even if they didn't win. So everybody gets communication. I'll get that out today. So keep an eye out. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we've got a couple episodes coming up for you tomorrow, right here on Locked On Wild.
See everybody. Thank you for showing up. Bye.